What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Well, it's that time again. Every 3 months we get one of the best rotations for the Doom Tower in the entire game, and that is the Dark Fae Doom Tower. So in today's video, I'm going to go over basically a complete guide on how to tackle this boss fully free to play with some free to play accessible champions and some strategies that I've tried in the past and have success with. And I'll tell you guys what works and what doesn't work and what you guys are going to need to beat this boss and farm some of the best gear in the game. So let's jump right into it. So for the purposes of this video, we'll be tackling the hardest level of Dark Fae, which is level 120 on the hard boss. If you're tackling the normal difficulty Dark Fae, it will still be relevant. It's just the stats will be much less. So going into this, so this is my farm team. It's about a minute and a half team usually. It's not 100% consistent, but it's not going to be a very long run, so I don't mind doing restarts. But what's the deal with Dark Fae? So Dark Fae drops one of the best sets in the whole game, and that's going to be lethal gear. So farming Dark Fae at any level, especially the highest one, will give you the most material so you can craft your gear. Lethal gear is basically savage gear plus additional crit rate, making it extremely good. So the boss guide for this, basically at the beginning of the fight, she actually takes a copy of your team. But because it's a copy of your team, you always get a chance to go first. So that's very important here. So you could either start your first turn by having your nuker go first, nuking the enemy team, and then killing the mirrors basically, and then you'll have your turn. The Dark Fae will reveal herself and everything will be good. The other strategy is to have like a turn meter booster. So you start with your turn meter booster, for example, like Arbiter. You boost up, you get a bit of a jump, and then your next champion can take a turn before the enemy takes a turn. So the first things first is you must kill the mirror copies of your team before you can proceed to fight the Dark Fae. After that, she does have a couple phases where she attacks you with her A1. She will place True Fear on you and then steal one of your guys. So there is a couple phases here, and ideally you don't want her to take a turn. So that's one of the main strategies on defeating her. Basically, don't let her take a turn because her turn meter can be manipulated. She's one of the few bosses in the game where the turn meter strategy can work on her. Decreased speed can work on her. These are very important things to consider. Turn meter, decreased speed. Increased speed is the other one. She's very fast, and at the end of the day, if you can control her turns, she never takes a turn, and it's very easy to defeat her, similar to how Fire Knight is. If you can control the Fire Knight, he never recovers with his shield and he'll never destroy your max HP. Similar with Dark Fae. However, with Dark Fae, if you start losing your grip on Dark Fae and she starts taking turns, it can get ugly really fast. Alright guys, so this is the set that you want to farm from Dark Fae. It's lethal gear. Lethal gear ignores 25% of the enemy defense and gives you an extra 10% crit rate. It's basically an improved savage set, which is one of the best damage dealing sets in the game. Lethal is just an improvement on that, making it one of the best damage dealing sets in the game. So definitely want to farm this. Dark Fae only shows up once every 3 months, so it gives you a chance to build a proper farming team to advance in the Doom Tower and then spend the whole month farming her. If you spend the whole month farming her, you get about 150 crafts of the 5 or 6 gear material. So obviously on this account, my alt account, I have been slacking on the lethal farming, crafting, but yeah, it's a good thing to have. So we'll look to improve you guys' chances at farming lethal gear from Dark Fae. So again, for the purposes of this video, I want to stress like a budget approach to this boss. Yes, she can be defeated with relatively easy and accessible champions, so I will be focusing mainly on epic or rare champions. Obviously, if you have legendary options, I will stress the key important ones, but legendary options will be upgrades. But honestly, this is one of the few bosses where epics may be preferred over some legendaries in a lot of cases. So first, I want to show you guys what you guys need for this boss. So first, you guys need increased speed, decreased speed, and ideally some kind of turn meter reduction So that's what you're looking for in a champion. And of course, you need some damage. So from the Bannerlords, we have Stagnite. Stagnite brings the decreased speed on the A1. That's perfect to drop the decreased speed. Also brings the decreased defense and decreased attack to improve your damage output. Archmage Helmet is also very, very solid for this this fight as well, with the increased speed buff as well. He also brings some CC for the waves. If you guys are struggling to get through the waves, he's good for that. So not only do you need the increased speed, decreased speed, and turn meter reduction, you need damage on your team. The best damage against Dark Fae would be things that deal max HP damage, or potentially somebody like Ninja who does the explosion, the HP burn explosions. It's hard to kill the boss with just pure damage dealers. So I would recommend using max HP damage dealers. One of the best ones is actually Royal Guard. Royal Guard is one of the best ones for this boss because he not only brings max HP damage, he also brings decreased speed and a turn meter drop. It does require him to bring accuracy, which is not that easy to gear on him. But if you can bring that, he is the total package for this fight. Also brings the A1 decreased defense as well. Great champion for this fight. Speaking of incredible champions for this fight, we have from the Sacred Order, we have Deacon Armstrong, one of the best champions in terms of an epic for this fight. Speed Aura makes the speed requirements for the rest of your team much easier, brings turn meter reduction, and then turn meter boost. So it goes one way against Dark Fae and then goes the other way for your team. And then of course the AoE decreased defense. And then Leech, which is actually really important because unless your team greatly outstats the Dark Fae, you're probably going to take a hit or two. So having the Leech there helps your team recover, which is really nice. So Deacon Armstrong, one of the best for this fight, almost a necessity for this fight, to be honest, if you are just running epics or rares. He can be replaced by somebody like Lysandra, who has a bigger speed aura and also does the up downs in terms of decreased speed here. Also places increased speed on your champion, and she has a single target decreased turn meter as well. So Lysandra would be one of the best for this fight. However, she is an epic. So she is a legendary, so I will omit her from this list. Another champion from the Sacred Order is actually really good. It's actually Shamael. Shamael has a passive here that removes fear and increases turn meter. So if you know, the Dark Fae actually does place fear on your whole team in a couple of her phases. So having the Shamael here gives you some extra damage with his A2, as well as removes the fear and boosts the turn meter of your leader, which probably is your speed lead or turn meter booster. Another super budget champion that might work for you guys from the Barbarians, we have High Katoon. She brings the speed aura, she brings the increased speed and turn meter boost as well. Very budget champion, but will work perfectly fine for this fight as well, bringing a lot of the attributes that you need. All right, and speaking of the most important, most needed epic in the game for this fight, I would say it's probably going to be from the Demon Spawn, Allure. Allure is in my top 10 epics in the game. She's especially good early on in the normal dungeons, and especially good against the Dark Fae. Her A1 with the turn meter reduction per hit, incredibly good against the Dark Fae. The only replacement for Allure straight up is Newt, and Newt is a legendary, of course, but Newt is a huge upgrade over Allure if you have Newt. If you don't have Newt, then Allure is the best option here. She makes the team building part very easy. The turn meter is very good on her. If there was one epic I had to pick over all else, it would be Allure for this fight. Another quick shout out here, I'm going to shout out Skimfos. Skimfos has a really good A1 decreased speed and chance to turn meter as well. So if you have Skimfos as a Void epic, he's definitely worth using for the turn meter and decreased speed control champion. Another quick shout out here for Sylvan Watchers. Ruella is actually really good. She brings turn meter boosting for your whole team, as well as decreased speed on her A2, and she has a turn meter steal on her A1. Very good champion for a Dark Fae. Definitely worth bringing here. I want to also shout out a couple of other champions here. Dark Elves. So Dark Elves, I'm going to take you guys to Coldheart, one of the best damage dealers for Dark Fae. She brings the max HP slam and a turn meter reduction. The turn meter reduction is huge because obviously to control the Dark Fae you need a lot of turn meter. So why not bring a Coldheart that can deal damage as well? So Coldheart is one of the best options here against the Dark Fae. Also, if you guys are a little bit low on champions, a trusty Armiger can actually do quite a bit of work. The A1 does decrease turn meter and he does have a big max HP slam. It's not going to be as strong as Coldheart, for example, but it's on a shorter cooldown, and the A1 is very, very good at reducing turn meter. So Armiger gets a quick shout out here if you're desperate for champions. He's actually a good option. He's not a top tier option, but he's a very good option, and he's not, I wouldn't even say he's a desperate option. He's definitely usable. I used him in some capacity because I didn't have a lure on my first Dark Fae clear, so I used Armiger in combination with ally attackers to get the A1 to get some extra turn meter reduction. So that's a strategy that you guys could look at as well. All right, guys, so this is the team that I put together for you guys. It's pretty budget and it's pretty bare bones in terms of overall stats. So for the Dark Fae, you're looking at least 250 speed for most of your champions. She is 250 speed. In terms of accuracy to line your debuffs, you're looking at least 330 if you can swing it. If you can do 300, that's okay, but you want at least 330, I would say. You have, I believe, a 95% chance to line your debuffs at that point. So this team's running pretty bare bones in terms of stats. You don't need them necessarily to be that tanky because you want to be able to kill your team with your own hits, but you also need to survive some of Dark Fae's attacks as well. In some of these runs I'm going to go over here, you will see me run into some issues, and I will try to go over them, but basically you guys can see what you guys will expect based on what I have put together and what Dark Fae can do, how much trouble she can actually be. To make this fight easier, smoother, more consistent, you need better stats so that you can maintain the Dark Fae. You can basically not fail if you get resisted, for example. So in this fight, I got Deacon Armstrong here with the increased turn meter boost, speed aura, decrease defense down, and leash. I got Apothecary here with a small turn meter boost and the increased speed. I got Allure here for the turn meter reduction on the A1. I got max HP damage from the Coldheart plus turn meter reduction. And I got max HP slam with the Roll Guard and turn meter reduction and decreased speed there. So ideally you bring increased speed, decreased speed, and then after that it's just turn meter reduction and damage wherever you can fit it. You can't if you can't hit the speed requirements, I recommend giving up a bit of damage so that you can at least clear her slowly, because as long as she doesn't take a turn, you will for sure beat her. So if you can control her and just kill her with War Master, it's fine too. But yeah, anyways, we'll start to run here. I'm going to put it at 1.5 speed just to speed it up a little bit, but we'll go through a bunch of this. You see me in the fights messing around with the settings, the AI settings a little bit. That's also a thing too. So basically you guys, in order to prepare for the Dark Fae encounter, you want to make sure that all your necessary skills are off cooldown so that you can use the skills properly against the Dark Fae. So ideally you want to set up your Dark Fae first moves, basically your turn meter boosting, of course. And then you want to make sure you have your AoE damage dealers do their AoEs. You see here, okay, good. But you can see that my Roll Guard actually gets taken because they only get one turn against the Dark Fae. They're only 250 speed. So since I wasn't able to reduce the Dark Fae's turn meter, she was able to get a turn and steal one of my guys. Luckily, I cleared him pretty quickly, but honestly, that's going to be probably a normal thing. You guys need to be ready to clear your strongest, or I believe she takes the highest attack stat champion, so she'll take your damage dealer away from you. So you guys need to be able to clear that damage dealer out. You can kind of see here that her turn meter is down, but she does catch up pretty quick. And I have all the necessary buffs and debuffs on her, but she does still manage to take turns. She's resisted the Heartseeker there. It looks like we're going to be able to get her down this time. This is just to show you guys what this particular team can do. It's actually a pretty solid team in terms of budget options. It covers everything that you want. I'm going to try to run it here a couple more times just to show you guys how consistent it actually is. It's on full auto for the most part, and of course you guys see me play around with the settings a little bit here. It actually clears the wave relatively quickly. You saw the first fight, it was about 2.5 minutes. It's actually a very consistent 2.5 minute team. Through the waves in about 40 seconds, which is actually not bad. Not bad. Decreased defense. So a bit of advice here, don't bring reaction on your teams. That's just gonna reduce the consistency of everything. You see there, we couldn't kill the stolen champion fast enough, and then he ended up wiping our team. So you see me messing around with the presets here a little bit. I want to set up with the AoE to open with the allure so she can help clear the mirrors a little bit easier. I think the key for this team to do well against Dark Fae is basically have the decreased speed out right away. If I can get the decreased speed on the Dark Fae right away on the first attack, then that gives me a much better chance at setting up the turn meter reduction and all that stuff, because I'm going to lose the roll guard right away. So the roll guard needs to place the decreased speed right away on the first attack, but he always seems to go for the takedown. So eventually I will correct that and try it again. You see here, we do take the hit. Make sure your champions are able to take a hit. And then you see us struggling to take down the turn meter of the Dark Fae. Since the Dark Fae doesn't have decreased speed applied, it's actually quite a challenge, guys. So make sure you guys bring decreased speed, increased speed as well. You see the fears placed there. So if we have Shamail, it would have removed all the fears. And we're struggling a little bit here. You see the Dark Fae picking it up. Even though it looks like we're holding it down, it's actually not enough. It's not enough. So you definitely need to bring some damage, and unless you have like some insane turn meter control, like multiple allures, for example. If you have 2 allures, this fight gets a lot easier. Like for example, Apothecary doesn't need to be there, but if he was another allure, it would be a lot easier. The heal reduction from Cold Heart is actually pretty good because Dark Fae has a phase where she actually heals up a little bit. So another 2.5 minute fight. Again, I do change the presets a little bit just to adjust some things. I want Cold Heart to do the A2, but for some reason she's not doing it, which means that I need to lock out the A2 on wave 2 for Cold Heart. And I do make some adjustments to the roll guard for the final fight. Trying to speed it up a little bit, but it's about a 2.5 minute fight, and I don't think it can be any faster. We'll go over the gear and everything right after some of these videos or some of these fights here. So the second wave here is pretty solidly done. I mean, 40 seconds. All our skills are ready for the encounter here. Like I said, guys, trying not to bring reaction. You see my roll guard did place the decreased speed right away on his first attack. And now we have decreased speed applied to the Dark Fae. This looks like a really clean run here. Looks like she did resist some turn meter drops there. You see how hard it is to actually deal damage to her without the max HP slams? She basically takes no damage from everybody except for the max HP. See, there's the max HP Heartseeker. There's the takedown. Keeping her controlled. Keeping her controlled. Increase speed back up. Control again. Oh, we got slammed and feared. And then she places increased speed on herself. All right, there we go. Very clean run. That was a very clean run. 220. Rogar places decreased speed right away on his first attack, and then he gets stolen by the Dark Fae. We clear him relatively quickly, and then we basically set up our full control against the Dark Fae. I mean, super clean run for that one. We do have some fails along the way. It's not 100% run, especially on full auto. If I was manualing, it probably would, like, could be close, right? But I'm gonna show you guys the gear requirements for this team, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when based on the stats, right? So I'll show you guys the stats here. Alright guys, so just quickly going over stats and AI preset if you guys want to try this team out. We got Deacon Armstrong here, 287 speed with 366 accuracy, about 50k HP. He's in like okay-ish gear. You want him to go first so that he can use the time compression, decreased turn meter, and then decrease defense right away on the boss. I'm going to go over the AI against the boss because that's the most important part. Obviously, against round 1, round 2, you want to make sure that you have your key abilities ready for round 3. So for Armstrong, you're going to be using the time compression to open, and after that, decrease defense against the mirrors. 287 speed on Deacon Armstrong. Like I said, Dark Fae is 250 speed. Apothecary is next in line, 266 speed. No other stats are relevant for him. I don't have a blessing on him, even though he is 6-star ascended, so he doesn't actually have the HP boost. We have Allure here. Allure is 261 speed. She has full crit rate. She has a ton of accuracy from another build, or I just slapped some gear on her just to make this build work, but you don't need that much accuracy. Like I said, you aim for about 330. 261 speed, very low HP. She does deal a little bit of damage because I capped her out. I have her open with her AoE just to control the waves a little bit, give some extra help for the clearing of the team. After that, you turn everything off and then just leave the A1 on. That's very important, of course. After that, we have Cohort here. She's pretty quick, 259 speed. Not the strongest Cohort, only 250 crit damage. You need accuracy on her to drop the turn meter, so make sure she's as close to 330 as possible. I got 300 here. That gives me about, I think, 80% chance to drop the turn meter on the Heartseeker. So not ideal in terms of consistency, but for this, it's fine. Definitely aim for higher, guys. And then pretty low HP all around. You want her to basically die instantly to some weak AoEs from your own team. Lastly, we have the Roguard here. The Roguard is going to open with the hamstring to decrease speed. Ideally, landing on very few of the mirrors and then landing one of the decreased speed on Dark Fae. And then it'll be pretty smooth after that. Accuracy-wise, pretty bare bones here, 300. Like I said, 330 would be ideal. Max crit rate. His crit damage is pretty low. All things considered, is pretty low. He's not dealing the max HP cap, but it is what it is. Just put whatever stats on him to make him work. He's not even 250 speed here, so he's 230 speed. He's going last. If you can jack up all these guys' speeds, your runs will be much more consistent. So if you guys are looking at the video footage and you guys are seeing Dark Fae taking turns, basically this is why, right? Like, my team is not insanely geared. Like, even damage dealers, they don't even have max HP damage caps. And then the rest of the teams are not insanely fast or anything like that. So just to give you guys a sense of expectations on what you guys can expect from this fight, and go over the pieces here real quick if you guys are interested. So we got Deacon Armstrong here. He's playing just generic sets here. Skills, everything's fully booked. I got Cruelty on him for some extra damage allowable on the team. You could give him Phantom Touch as well, extra damage as well. War Master for some extra damage against the boss. After that, we have Apothecary. Apothecary is just in random speed gear. He doesn't really need any crazy stats, and he's only really here for the turn meter boost and increased speed. So if you can substitute him for any other increased speed champion, but he does bring an extra turn meter here, so that's kind of nice. I mean, you could kind of use High Katoon in Apothecary's spot, and then sub out Deacon Armstrong for somebody else that gives turn meter as well, or decreased defense. So you can kind of mix and match here, but Apothecary is basically here just for increased speed and a little bit of turn meter boost. Masteries, Giant Slayer for some damage to help out. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter, and I really only use him just as a very, very budget option. After that, we have Cold Heart. Pretty standard Cold Heart. I just have generic gear on her. I have a reaction piece on her, which is not the best. So that's an oversight on my part. So definitely don't bring reaction to this fight. She's in whatever gear, mixed pieces, fully booked, Phantom Touch for some extra mini War Master damage. Masteries, not even fully mastered. So if you guys gonna go masteries on her, you guys can take Giant Slayer for some extra damage against bosses, or you guys take Flawless Execution for some extra crit damage there. No masteries on her. After that, we have Allure. So Allure is in a old immunity set here, and she does have a shield ring. The shield ring doesn't really matter. She was used in like seer comps. Her accuracy is way too high, so you definitely don't need that level of accuracy. In terms of skills, fully booked. Cruelty for some extra small hits. Cruelty for some extra ignore defense reduction. You could use Phantom Touch for some more small War Master procs. I think Phantom Touch on her would be pretty good, just for some extra damage. After that, we have Masteries, and of course Giant Slayer would be ideal for her since she's using the multi-hit A1. Lastly, we have the damage dealing Roll Guard here. Is it this one? Yes, it is. He is in a reflex set. It's not necessary to bring him in a reflex set, that's for sure. So definitely you guys can just use broken pieces on him. We have him with just about 300 accuracy here. Like I said, it's a little bit low. You could bring 330 against Dark Fate would be ideal. Fully booked, and he has Phantom Touch as well. Phantom Touch just works on everybody, so if you guys want to bring Phantom Touch on everybody, it's just a little bit extra damage. He is fully booked with War Master here, and that's basically to help him kill bosses. So anyways, guys, so that's going to be the team, and that's going to be the breakdown for the Dark Fate. Hopefully I was helpful. Hopefully I could enlighten you guys and give you guys some ideas on what you guys want to do. There's obviously going to be many combinations here, but hopefully I highlighted some of the budget options that kind of work. There are going to be other budget options here that kind of deserve some shout out. So for example, like I said, I mentioned Armiger, I mentioned Arbiter. Visix is actually a very good champion as well. She brings the decreased turn meter as well on her A1. It's kind of like an Armiger, but it's a double hit. She also brings decreased speed as well, and then she brings a provoke. The thing with Visix is that she's a defense-based champion. She's actually not that easy to kill, so it might pose a problem when you're fighting the mirror of her. But she brings a pretty good package here as a free login champion as well, so definitely worth consider using. I mentioned Arbiter. Arbiter is an excellent champion to bring here as well with the turn meter boost. It's a big turn meter boost, so it's definitely going to be helpful. The problem here with Arbiter is that she does bring a revive. So if she survives, if the mirror of her survives, she can revive all the mirrors. So that's going to be a big problem, but obviously she is a pretty good pick here as well, just for the turn meter boost on both her A3 and her A4. Lastly, I'm going to say big shout out here to High Katoon. She brings the aura, speed aura, and then she brings the increased speed and turn meter boost as well. She also does bring a decreased speed on her A1, so she actually brings the total package against the Dark Fae. The problem here is that you probably want an extra decreased speed because it's not a 100% chance to land it. It's only a 40% chance to land it. So it's not going to be super good for consistency, and you definitely need the decreased speed especially from the footage that we were just watching on that team. But anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about everything. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask them. I'll try to answer them if I know the answer. And yeah, let me know what kind of budget ideas and strategies and teams that you guys use for the Dark Fae. She's one of the more budget friendly-ish champions, boss encounters in the Doom Tower. But the gear requirement is high for her. And of course, she is the level 120 boss, and she produces the best gear. But it's definitely worth it, guys. Definitely make a team that consistently can farm her and farm that sweet lethal gear. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time as always. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.